Io volevo sapere cosa ha imparato su come si è posta il problema del tradimento, no? Cioè se lei ha come persona, essendo anche lei in una relazione da lungo tempo, e questo film parla comunque del tradimento, come si è posta e come si pone cioè, rispetto al tradire, no? In una lunga relazione.
It was interesting. That's a very interesting question because obviously there were a lot of, people talked about that, particularly after we saw the film, like, oh my gosh, how did it happen? Why did she do that? Jules to me is so very lost. She's been the one, she's been a stay-at-home parent for the last 18 years, and her life is changing right before her eyes. The oldest child is leaving, the second one's going to leave soon after that. She realizes she has to concentrate on her career, she doesn't know who she is, she doesn't feel seen, she doesn't feel validated. Everything she's used to define herself is slipping away. So she's just flailing around. And what's interesting about the character is that it's not articulated. A lot of times in movies a character will say, this is my problem and I know why, and then they'll solve the problem. And she, like in life, just you see her kind of flaring up with her partner and thrashing around with job possibilities, and then ends up running into this guy where she receives all this validation. So I thought, well, that's where it happens. I don't think Jules sets out to cheat. I don't think she's proud of herself that she did. She knows what she's done to her family and to her partner. She's sort of ashamed and has to be forgiven, obviously, in the movie. But it's more about her seeking a certain kind of validation at a time when she feels like she doesn't have any. And I think that's when things can happen. We can't. Every case is individual, obviously, but what I found interesting about it too is that there's a tremendous amount of elasticity in love and in family and in partnership, and to portray that was challenging and wonderful. People are not as absolute, I think, in terms of their actions and their reactions in life as we think they are. And I think as you get older, you realize that. You realize there's lots of room for ambiguity. There's a tremendous amount of room for forgiveness. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that.
Hello, Julianne. Julianne, congratulations on the award that you received at this festival. Congratulations for this film. I just come from Australia last week where Chloe had opened, and you were terrific in that as well. Can you tell us generally what has been a turning point in your career to date? Was there any particular time where you felt things really went upwards for you?
Yeah, for me it was interesting because in my 20s I worked mostly in television and theater and regional theater and off Broadway and very kind of small things. And I would audition for movies, but I never really got them. And then at the very beginning of the 90s, I did a bunch of small movies sort of back to back, and they all came out around the same time. And they were Safe, Shortcuts, and Valley on 42nd Street. And they came out within a year of each other, and it was, suddenly I had a film career where I hadn't before. There really had been nothing. And so what happened to me was I sort of collided at a time with the independent film movement in the United States, and it changed absolutely everything for me. I don't know that I would be a film actress necessarily. I certainly didn't get the parts, like I said, when I was first starting out. So I'd say those three movies all at once really changed everything.
Buongiorno Julianne, una domanda per te in questo senso. In questo film chi esce peggio poi è il personaggio maschile.